Hi guys, Codetutor here and my name is Anil Deshpande. In the previous video, we have seen how to implement a base activity which will be taking care of requesting the runtime permissions. And the method that I am referring to is request runtime permissions. That is the red chunk that we are seeing in this particular block diagram. Now we have to write this particular method with an extra case wherein there could be a possibility that a functionality will require more than one permission. If you want to tag a photo with the longitude and latitude information, then you would need two permissions. You would need a camera permission to capture the photo, and also you would need a permission to access the longitude and latitude, which is location permission. And until and unless you have both the permissions, you cannot proceed with the functionality. What we can do is we can always check if the number of permissions that are required to execute a functionality is more than one. And then we have to also check whether the denied permission is more than one. Assume that you asked for the two permissions and the user denied both the permissions or denied one permission and accepted or granted the another permission. So in that case, you have to make sure that depending upon the number of permissions that you have or you don't have, you show a appropriate flow. So if you have denied permission, it could be either one or both the permissions. In that case, if it is for the first time, then you have to ask the permission directly without showing any rationale. Otherwise, you have to show the rationale for asking the permission. If you want to show the rationale for situation where the permission has already been denied once and you want to once again ask for the permission, the ActivityCompat method show request rationale will not be sufficient to handle multiple permissions. That is why this particular part needs to be handled through your own custom logic. Without much further ado, let's get into a demo. Now what we have is another activity called as photo tagging activity. As per the layout, I have a button, and on click of that particular button, if I already have the permission, I just go ahead and do my work. Otherwise, I am invoking the request runtime permissions that is defined in the base activity, and I pass the activity as the first argument, then the array of permissions that I need, which in this case is camera and the access codes location, and finally a user defined integer constant, which I will be using to check whether I have the permission in the on request permission result, which is a callback method for the interface on request permission result callback. I will go back to the base activity. In the previous video, you have observed this part wherein the permission length was equal to 1. The remaining part is basically this part where permission length is greater than 1. I have implemented some utility methods in the base activity. For example, there is get denied permissions among the photo tagging permission. This particular method basically gives me permissions which are denied among the permissions that I need for the photo tagging. For example, if I need both the camera and location permission, among that only if I have camera, it will return me location permission which has been denied. This particular method, which is a check whether all permissions are present for the photo tagging, returns me true or false, telling me whether all the permissions have been acquired or not. And this is another method is first time ask for the photo tagging permission. This is the method which uses shared preference to achieve its functionality of telling me whether multiple permission rationally needs to be shown or not. Going back to the method, I check whether there are any denied permissions, and if the denied permissions length is equal to 1, then basically what I do is I show the rationale through the snack bar. Otherwise, I will directly ask the permission. Otherwise, if the denied permissions are more than 1, then I have to execute my own logic of showing the rationale, and if the rationale needs to be shown, I will be showing it through a snack bar. And once the permission is granted, it will come back to the photo tagging activities on request permission result, which is a callback method for the interface that base activity is implementing, that is on request permission result callback. And the logic is once again pretty simple here. In this case, I will check whether what kind of permission it is. In this case, it is a photo tagging permission. If all the permissions are granted, I will just go ahead and do my operation. Otherwise, I will once again ask the permission if any of the permissions are missing. That is, if you don't have any of the permissions, you should not allow the user to continue with the functionality. Now let us have a look at the code. If you observe it, that's what I am checking, the kind of permission, and I am using base class method check whether all permissions are present or not. If I have all the permissions, I will just go ahead, and if I don't have the permission, I will once again use the snack bar and ask for the permission to be granted. So if you have a look at the flow here, I will start the activity. I can either allow both the permissions or I can deny. If both the permissions are denied, once again you should not allow it. If the person once again clicks here, he can either accept or deny one or allow another one. In that case also, you should not allow the person to continue with the functionality until and unless he grants all. Then only you can allow the person to go ahead and complete the task. This is all fine. What if person denies the permission and clicks something called as never ask? For example, add and deny. If I click another time, I say never ask again. In that case, now if I click it, it will never pop up that particular dialog box, but you will not even be able to complete the functionality. In that case, you have to basically go to the settings of the device and then go to app, and in the app, a particular app that you have installed, you have to go there, and there will be something called as permission option, and here you can actually manipulate the permissions. If the user knows this, he can always come here. Sometimes you cannot assume that user knows how to do that. So it is one of the good practice to give the navigation to directly go to that particular settings screen of the application where the user can manipulate the permissions. For that, you can have an option like permissions, and on click of that permission, you can directly trigger a activity and can just enable the permission if the user wants. And if you now go back and click on say Anil and add contact, will show the updated value. Now going back, how this has been implemented is I am making use of a method called as start app permissions, which gets triggered when an option item selected menu is clicked, and I'm basically making use of a implicit intent. I'm just starting the activity. It is a simple activity starting code, and it is being achieved through implicit intents. There is another separate video on implicit intents. You can refer to that particular video how implicit intents work. With this, we come to the end of the series on permissions. I shall meet you in the next video with a new topic. That brings us to the end of this particular video. Don't forget to like, comment, share the video and subscribe to the channel. Take care. Bye.